If you were hoping for a close game, the first map certainly delivered, as it is a 13-11. Looked like it could have even gone to overtime. Even the last round, the way it played out, despite the fact that it was a 2-on-4 post plant, they had the Brimble, they had the Molly going down as well. They just needed to buy a little bit more time, and that thing would have gone into overtime. But instead, it does conclude 13-11, and it's actually going to be the Guard who come out on top here on Fracture. We did talk about this, though. Roy, looking at the map, Fracture is one that's been kind of interesting, given that, neither team has really leaned to it directly, but more recently we've been seeing these teams play it with success.
Yeah, I mean, since the beginning of Split 2, the Guard has been pretty much undefeated on this map. They're 3-0, now they're 4-0. M80 has been sort of on the same sort of trajectory. They're 2-1 actually on the map, 2-2 now with this loss. So it's totally not expected. But I agree with something that Dust said. And he mentioned that, somebody was like missing in this server, and it wasn't the player's bot. It was actually Tanner Metro. He was the only one that was missing. Besides that, everybody else was sort of popping off. Tex was having huge rounds. Net was having huge rounds. Like it was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, this isn't traditionally a map that M80 have been picking through the season, but it's something they've been leading into for playoffs. I think they had a lot of confidence with it coming into this match and this series, which caused them to pick this first. But a lot of other maps in their map pool coming up, and it's a big best of 5 ahead of us. So very close game. It's good to see this go to the distance. I think it's very possible we could see 5 maps here.
I don't even know a Tanner Metro. Do you know? I don't know a Tanner Metro. Does that mean something familiar? I know Tanner Meowtro, but I don't know Tanner Metro. I can't say that name.
I know Tanner Outro.
Oh, yeah. We got to see a lot of that one this first match. Hopefully that's the last we'll see of Tanner Outro. As we look at the scoreboards here for this first game, you can see just how close it was as well. Despite the fact that they had the early advantage pretty frequently, M80 does not capitalize on those first blood opportunities, and it turns into rounds won by the Guard. But it was Tex, and it was actually Dust who was singing his praises, saying that Tex has been an incredible player for this team. Again, it kind of echoes what we were saying on the desk. We weren't really sure what to expect out of Tex coming into the season, whether or not he'd be able to fill the role that was left empty when Saya Player left the team. And it's not to say that Saya Player was like this insane talent. He was just reliable. And was Tex going to be able to jump into that and be that same force for them? Seems like he has been.
That's right. Saya Player is like the workhorse, nothing special. He's not going to win you any races at the racetrack, but man, he could get the job done every time. And Tex once again coming in and saying, I can not only do the job, but I can do it well. And any doubters at this point, this late in the season, you got to be questioning why. Why are you doubting him?
Yeah, I mean, even just beyond the duelist, so I think there were layers of mind games happening between the IGLs as well. I think one really simple pattern that was sort of different between these two teams is that M80 was a lot on their defense side. They were a lot more disruptive, like flooding through smokes, trying to disrupt the executes that Guard was throwing out the way. But the Guard, when they were on defense, they were actually just going for that proactive early round aggression. They were just trying to disrupt the game plan off the get-go, not letting M80 run their script at all.
Absolutely, and that's something that M80 have been famous for throughout this whole event. They are a very disruptive team. They want to get in your face, and they don't want to let you set up and do what you want to do. They want to put you on the back foot and allow you to, or force them to play on their terms. So that's something I expect to see, not just in Fracture, but throughout this whole series.
That is something that has been fundamentally at their core, whether it was early in Split 1 when we just saw Koalanu basically just flying in to be that person by himself, or going to the early round of the playoff where we saw them doing some of those 3-player set pieces like the Fade Race nade combo like we've seen in the past from this team, and even some crazier setups where it was literally 4 players designed to allow 1 player to push in. They definitely love to play that aggressive style, especially on the defense, where they really take things into your safety net, like, oh, we're in spawn, everything should be fine, we're waiting for the round to start. Just kidding, they're right here. But as we take a look at the map pool, we'll see where the series is heading next, because again, it is a best of 5, and M80 on paper had a theoretical advantage. They got the double ban to come through, which does mean that a map they've had maybe a little bit of a leg up over the Guard on will make its way in. The Guard has been banning out Pearl, if I'm not mistaken, or Split. I can't keep track of their bans anymore because it seems like every single week the bans have been changing. But I know in the last couple of series, this team has been shying away from playing maps that typically land in the laps of M80, and one of those maps has been Pearl. So it makes its way through, but interestingly enough, it will be the last map should we need it. So here's the concern for M80 right now. Right, Lotus has been the Guard's bread and butter. They love this map. They're incredibly good on it. Their attack side is so strong.
Yeah, they're really fluid, and it really shows in their sort of like success rate on the map. They're 5-0 since Split 2. I always like to use Split 2 as sort of like the reference point, just because it's a lot more recent. Split 1, mid-season face-off. That feels so long ago. But since Split 2, the guard is 5-0 on the map, and M80 is 3-1. So they're not total strangers to the map. And honestly, I'm expecting this to be a really a bit of a slugfest. Like it's going to be a brawl for every single round.
Keep in mind, too, they get to start on the attacking side, I believe, as M80 selects the defense. The guard has a 75% win rate on the attacking side. Their attacking side is so crazy good on this map because of their post-plant setups. We've watched them many times gain access to a site, and at that point, it's pretty much over. Just because of the way they play the map. With the Harbor Viper combo, you've got the Killjoy utility in there as well. They have so much to get onto the site, and then so much post-plant utility that they basically don't have to fight you.
That's right. And, you know, at M80, they were a bit late to pick up Lotus. I think they, you know, didn't jump right on the bandwagon for Lotus as soon as most of these Americas team did. It seemed to be a very popular map early on in the season, both in Challengers and in Americas. But, you know, they had that loss to Oxygen where they were running the old comp with Breach. And right after that, they swapped over to the double controller, which seems to be the meta in most of these leagues for this map. And since then, they're 2-0 on it. So, you know, not as much experience, not as much map experience for these guys. This M80 squad is the guard, and the guard are obviously going to be very confident on Lotus, but we've seen a lot of good things from M80. This fade raise combo we're seeing from them on the Lotus alongside the Omen is a really interesting and unique look, and I expect it to lean again into that and some of these really interesting set pieces with the fade raise to kind of bring this home and make this match a little bit more even keeled.
And also, you mentioned the fade raise combo. People might hear that and go, oh wow, Koala's playing the raise. Nope. Koala actually plays Omen on this map. He swaps away from his trusty duelist and he picks up the Omen role. And it's Nismo who goes back to comfortable territory playing Raze, which is something he's played in the past. So it is maybe a little bit more unique. And EU on Fade, I actually love, because when Fade was first released, watching last year, EU was probably the best Fade that was playing through in that era, in my opinion. Early on, I thought EU's utilization of Fade was good enough that it would actually inspire other people to embrace her maybe a little bit earlier than we saw them do it. Because early on, it was like, hey, this agent's kind of broken, right? Like, it feels like Fade's really, really strong, and teams weren't really bringing it to the forefront. But then we were watching EU play it. And when I was watching EU play it, Psycho, I was like, oh my gosh, this agent could be so good. So it's good to see him get back to his roots.
Absolutely. And, you know, the Fade is not a common pick for this map, but it's something that they're really leaning into the comfortability of EU and just how tremendous he's been on the agent. And even though it's eaten a few nerfs since it came out and it was, you know, kind of a stalwart of competition on most maps and people were running it in a lot of different combinations, but, you know, it's still super viable. It's something that EU is consistently making work. And alongside Nismo, who's one of the best raises in the region, it's just a tremendous combination for them. So for Koala Noob to be able to pick up the Omen and have that flexibility and offer the opportunity for this amazing comp to come together, it's really made the difference for the squad.
Yeah, and it's not like Koala on the Omen's going to be playing passive or anything like that. Like, the Omen's literally just a duelist at that point. You're kind of just using him to TP across, hold down a lobby, get those op angles, being able to TP out using the Viper walls. Like, he's still going to be incredibly active on the map. I expect nothing less from him.
Well,
absolutely. I mean, we even saw him picking up the operator in that last match, so definitely nothing new for him to, you know, kind of have that aggressive play style. And Omen takes that kind of pack player mentality on this map, so really expect a lot of first bloods, a lot of early peaks from him, despite the agent selection not being the typical jet that he's used to seeing.
It does seem like it's time to jump into our second map, and I do believe that Tanner has told his mom to stop taking phone calls so he doesn't get booted off of his AOL connection, which means we do have both of our casters standing by. It's Tanner, Metro, and Dust. Take it away.
Wait, are you sure it's Tanner Metro, Bach? Or do we have another alternate reality version of Tanner who has made his appearance?
Yeah, that was in honor of, you know, this is the Metroverse. That was Tanner Mutro. This is Tanner Meowtro. This is Tanner Outro.
Okay.
Okay.
What about
and
Tanner
we already
intro?
got Tanner disconnected.
Can we get the Tanner intro now?
And Tanner intro and coming back here. So,
Thank
all
you.
right. We got that out of the way. I mean, I don't know why all those alter egos are being brought up, but they just had to. They had to
The
surface.
TRO ending to your last name opens you up for literally
easy.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, like Tanner Steak Tro. If you
Cool
pulled out a
tro,
steak.
Tanner, awesome tro, funny tro, humor tro. That's
Yeah,
you're supposed to
yeah,
add on.
yeah. You're all the positive things. You're everything positive. You're so good. I love you.
All right, let's focus up. We jump into Lotus. A great map for both of these teams. I love that both teams handshake from map 1 to map 2. They toss over the fade. That's going to be EU playing that one. And, well, M80 are starting on the defense, but you would think they are attacking quick for some space down towards Mound. Couple of kills, though, taken back for the guard. Make it 3 to go their way and open up the C site.
Well, color me surprised to see an explosive start to this map between these two teams. I'm shocked, clearly. Sarcastic, as the spike is going to go down here in the corner. Cascade covering the waterfall position for now, as the guard do have a 1-man advantage here in this post plant. We have a flank from John QT, but it's certainly being watched out for by Tex here at the back of Mound, who's keeping it off angle. He knows, bro. He so knows.
I love this position that Xander's in. Kind of just
He's still
crunched in
lost.
between two. But yeah, they're starting to make this one work. Xander was in an awful spot. He's found a way to bail himself out. Valorant now needs to hang on to the time just a bit, but John will find the kill. I mean, around the world and then to the C site, John made his presence known and takes away the round.
Again, man, I talked about at the beginning of the series. Let me remind you, if you just joined the broadcast, we have 5 of the top 10 players for clutch win percentage in the server today. M80 have 3 of those players. The guard have 2. You saw 2 of those players featured in that 1v1. Valen, being up there for the guard. And then, of course, on the opposing side, the ultimate victor of that round, John Cutie, being right up there with them. So when you consider how explosive these two teams can be, when you consider that you have the top closers of challengers distributed between these two squads, you're in for a show. Let's put it that way.
You also know it's going to be a good game when Koala is grabbing the mic and screaming into it for his team.
Oh, bye-bye. See you later.
I mean, you're not expecting anything out of Trent, but that shot from Nismo catching him on the way out, that's got to feel good. And another one, EU on his way out hits the fadeaway onto net.
Bro, what are with these Guardian fadeaways through obscured vision? Like, what is happening right now? This like, buy-up from the guard is being crushed. I don't want to say by pure luck, but, like, I mean, there's a little bit of luck involved. Let's be honest. Like, they're just hitting some blinders through. And Valen trying to reel it back in there with the Stinger. Doesn't get one, but they're still in a 2 versus 4. They're still nowhere near actually putting a spike down on the site. This is a wild start.
Enemy remaining.
And John scoops up another. Fortunately, Jonah P is headed the right, in quotes, way. Nobody directly here on the B side. So should be allowed to plant. The plant in the previous round and the kills that came through, it allowed for the more expensive anti-eco. Unfortunately, it didn't mean a whole lot for the guard, but it would mean a lot if Jonah P could get this plant. So that way, their full buy is a potent one. And I mean, it's Jonah P. It's going to be giving it.
Won't be getting much more, you'd have to imagine. He's trying to flash B-Link off and play the top side. Satchel, though, kind of keeps them boxed in the corner. And Koala will swing for the headshot there. Again, the Devs already kind of talked about this a little bit, but do not be fearful of seeing Koala noob on Omen. He's played Omen on this map several times already for the guard. I think this would be... I'm trying to think what number game this would be for him. I think this would be his 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, they're 3-1 coming into today.
I think it'd be this is his 3rd game on Omen. I'm pretty sure, because this is when they started swapping over this like double controller setup on their own. So yeah, and he also has like this is a shot in the dark here, but I want to say prior to him being like obviously a Jet main, he had a past of playing some Omen. I think he has like just south of 30 games on Omen on record in official matches, something like that. So someone can like correct me on that if I'm wrong, but
25 is the number. This being 26.
Okay. Yeah, I knew. So my point is, he's totally familiar with the agent,
and it also does the same job, just like the desk kind of set up. I'm gonna hold this thought because this round matters for the guard. 2 players already erased the ZU. The lesser weapon gets one as well, and I mean, just as important as this round was for the guard, it starts pretty awfully. See if Tex can get something here. Oh, the timing there, just horrible for Tex. Now Valen gonna have to try and hang on again. This time has a reckoning. But a 1v3, this is a difficult spot to be in.
Yeah, not liking his chances in this one. Getting boxed in from multiple angles all at once. That's the thing. These two teams are very disciplined on their retakes. They never really give you 1v1s. Yeah, maybe he gets that Xander hit, but then immediate paranoias, and then John Cutie and Qual are pinching them from both sides. So that's the other thing about these two teams. Like we talk about on the M80 side, super explosive, very fast paced, like very efficient in playing that style of play because their spacing and timing is so good. And they're just bold. They don't hesitate. They're fearless, right? I would say the guard a little bit more well-rounded. I think you might say that their like defaults and mid-rounding are a little sharper, whereas sometimes M80 relies a little bit of intuition on Koala Noob. But it's only like a slight tick in their favor is what I'm getting at. It's not very different. But the other thing that I'll say about these two teams that have kept them up is their discipline within number situations where they don't overextend. They don't give you freebies. Like they are content in a 3-on-1 to sit back and just play it together smart.
Xander, however, maybe breaking the script just a little bit. He wants to stay and fight on this side. He hasn't been completely pressured off, and look at this. I mean, the mind games that this will bring now that a judge is into the action. Blast Pack not only to keep himself from dying, but also into safety. And the aggression early in this round, it's just been eaten by M80. Xander never left. He's still here to fight with 3 players around the corner. He's going to plant his feet and try and get himself out of this one. Net will eventually dig him out as the late snake bite comes through. Again, a tough start for the guard. They managed to get it back in the spike planet.
Indeed, they're going to get some good post-buy positioning as well. They have, you know, Alarm Bot covering their flank. They're able to get Jonah P into mound position, but hold the phone. Nismo through Waterfall with Koala Noob. It's already found a couple of frags, so these post-buy positions have already been withered away as the numbers dwindle.
1 enemy remaining.
Down to 1. Where the clutch is at, they are not here. Not in round 4 at the very least. Jonah P falls in a 1v3. Another round for M80. Has there been a clutch on the day yet? Like a Valorant branded, you know, 1v2, 1v3.
There's been a couple of 1v1 situations. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's been a lot. A lot of it has just come down to like mid to late round 3-on-3s that start from very chaotic moments and then kind of just like slowly kind of become a little bit more confined as you hit the finish line. There's been a lot of rounds like that. So technically speaking, I'd guess no, probably not. Yeah, as far as like Valorant defined clutch rounds, I'd probably say 1 at most. Man, this is a crazy start to the game. M80 up 4-0. I mean, here's the thing. Both these teams, you could argue, are very strong Lotus teams. The Guard's a lot easier to argue because they come in with an 8-1 record, having won their last 8 games in a row. They've beaten FaZe multiple times. They beat G2. They beat Oxygen. They're rarely even letting their opponents hit double digits when they play Lotus. Like their last 3 games in a row, for instance, they never allowed their opponent more than 7 rounds. Oxygen, they only gave 3. FaZe, they only gave 6. They're near 60% win rate on both sides of the map, so they have no really weak point. Obviously, their attacking side is very impressive, but the fact that their defense win rate is so high on a 3-site map is what really sets them apart, in my opinion. So we know that, right? The Guard, very good, okay? But M80, they have a 3-1 record. So, like, while their sample size is smaller and their resume isn't as elaborate, I guess you could say, right? Like, it's a little shorter to read through. When they have played this map, they have been so damn good.
Oof. I mean, it's and it's stuff like that. It's stuff that the desk talked about, right? Koala on this Omen, there's a lot of stuff that he doesn't need to be Jet to keep doing, like finding these early first bloods, taking space with a Shrouded Step is something that you would do, you know, with a dash or with the Blast Pack. So the role just fits him so well. So M80,
it's a playmaking controller, and he's a playmaker.
100%.
So that's all you need to know.
Yeah, he is that and then some. Oh, and speaking of playmaking, how about information gathering? Beautiful Nightfall there, gets just about everybody, if not all 4. And well, now the bodies start to drop. A couple of kills taken right back, but the knives eventually silenced. And Net with 19 HP. Put in a tough spot once more. A handful of 1v3 attempts given over to the Guard. They've all fallen flat. And to go back to, obviously, the strength of M80 on this one, a smaller sample size, but they did beat like the team that they played, right? They beat Moist, they beat Oxygen. Those two teams, when you look at, especially
top
recently,
4 teams,
right? June Oxygen, June Moist Moguls, like those are big wins over very strong teams. Whereas on the other side, you know, in recent times, G2 Esports, a win over Mad Lions, like right, the split 2 wins that the Guard got on this map are, not to call them fluff, but are teams that, you know, weren't here in the playoffs at the very least.
Another thing to point out is that when M80 wins this map, it's off of having massive attacking sides. Again, over 70% win rate. Their defensive win rate, only 44%. Like, when they were beating Moist Logos, for instance, they were only getting like 4 rounds in the first half defensively. The same thing happened when they lost to Oxygen in Split 2. They only got 4 rounds defensively in the first half. They're already on 5 rounds defensively.
Yeah.
How many rounds have we played already? Oh, it's 5. Yeah. I mean, they're off to their best defensive start ever.
Something taken back though here. Op in the hands of John. Cutie finds a kill on the A site, make it a second one. The spam from Xander. I mean, this is a gun that has been unlocked here on this map. The Odin going crazy into Baby Door, but Jonah P has had enough of it. We've been hyping up M80 and how strong they look here. Jonah P is here to remind us just how good he is.
He dodged the first Prowler, not the second.
Last player standing.
Oh, EU.
Spike down B.
Chef's kiss.
30 seconds left.
And Jonah just not there to help him. Fortunately, nobody felt comfortable to push the lockdown, so it does mean a spike planted, 2 flashes, and another attempt. Any of the rounds that the Guard could win, it would have taken clutch as it comes back to it. First one up, first one down. It's Xander gone. It would take the ace here for Jonah P, and that haunt does not reveal. The jump up heard, 1 flash out, second one goes. EU just around the corner. Jonah P tries to run him down, and he's stripped of the ace. He's stripped of the clutch, and EU steals away the round.
Man, that was nearly close, and Jonah P is the other player alongside VALORANT who sits in the top 10 for clutch percentage, and he almost found himself another one there, and the ace on top of it. He played that so smart. He used his flashes so well. He did have EU blinded. I thought he had him dead to rights, to be honest, but EU was able to tuck into the corner, kind of play out being blind, keep his composure, and come back and reface the fight, and ultimately come out on top. And I tell you what, man, this match has a much different tone to it than what we saw on Fracture. It's not the back and forth and fair. It's not the pinstripe timeline. It is all green, all M80, and all of them off of retakes and clutches.
Stealing sight.
Daunting for the Guard, but a full loss bonus means they are ready to go again. Full buy. Tex will dash his way on through. Flash on the backside. Tex collects the kill. Assist to Jonah P. With 8 health, he wants to keep fighting on his front foot.
Might as well. When you're on low HP like this, but you have good positioning, you want to try to make the most of it. Kind of keep trying to make plays. He's going to just hold position, though, at B as the spike is planted on the C side. Maybe look at the try to be a little bit of a late backstab, a late lurk, but QuaLaNoob says, nah, I won't be having any of that. They're going to equal it back up to 4 apiece as they make this retake and try to keep their flawless defense in play. Double through waterfall, double through back hauls, no C mound flank.
The 1 cascade to play with. It looks like VALORANT cues this one up, sends it out onto that site, seizes out, util behind it, and Xander gets another span kill. VALORANT falls, but they're running out of time. M80 have to make moves right now, dancing inside the smoke, and Jonah P might have done enough to hang on. A tap on the spike, but a snake bite down. Xander gonna go up top on the box. Everybody getting cut down, and it'll come down to time, but they do it again for 7 in a row.
Now you guys pretty good, huh?
Hey, he's all right. Go ahead. Hey, talk your talk.
I'm gonna talk my talk, bro. Often one of the most underrated initiators in North America for a long time, because like I think people like Crashies and Derek and Trent, like they were kind of taking the spotlight last year, but EU was always in that mix to me. He was always so strong. I think Bach kind of said on the desk that he thought that he was perhaps the best Fade in North America. I'll go ahead and just stand by that and say that he was. I've always felt that way. The dude is just nuts, man. He doesn't like sit in the top 10 or anything like that for like every metric, but he's just so solid, and he is number 4 in KD ratio in the league. So he does have that going for him, and just the eye test passes.
Well, another rough start for the guard. Reckoning to open up this A site.
boy.
I mean, they're just getting spammed.
I mean-
That the reserve ammo changes could not come soon enough. You see, already down to 30 bullets left to play out the rest of the round. But I mean, there's only 2 more players to worry about. And Nismo is here to use the final 30 in his Phantom. Fortunately, not needed. Koala will grab it. And now, these are not rounds where the guard are teeter-tottering their economy. They are not buying and saving and buying and saving. They are
playing
buying
every round.
every single round. And this one is flawless for M80. It just seems now that they're in flow state, right? They're in the zone.
Yeah, they plan it every round. That's how they've been able to do it. Like that's given them the extra credits to keep the buys rolling. But M80 are just always finding a way to make the retake happen. In that round, I don't know if we'll get to see it, but it's just the layering of utility. Like the way that they layered the Boombot and the Prowlers to like just get space and push players back into the site and keep them boxed in so they could just like spring on top of them with paint shells and just, you know, their firepower over the top from Heaven's side. It just made it to where the guard in that particular moment could never really get that additional space that you want in a post plant to feel comfortable. Like the utility, like I said, kept them trapped on the site, inside hut, inside main, never really able to, you know, get over towards B-Link or to try to play a post plant from like somewhere on rubble where you're off site and you have another angle of attack to stop the retake. It just, M80 never allowed that to happen. They own the map control. I will say this too, and I mean, it's not to take away from them by any means, but boy, are they just hitting some ridiculous shots through smokes like at the beginning of rounds so often. Like they've gotten so many first bloods that way. And if you're the guard, it's like, what do we do against that? Like what, like we're not, I wouldn't even say they're making like any glaring errors. They're just losing bodies early to spam. And I mean, they're still crafty enough to work themselves in the spike plants afterwards. And it's just, you know, they're a little bit behind in resources and numbers when it comes down to the retakes, and M80 are capitalizing.
They've also been, like you mentioned, right, with the plant money, they've been buying, but it's been light shields and rifles, so it doesn't make it any easier to survive that spam.
Sure.
And this time, there's still spam from Xander, but there's something else behind it, right? They try and flash him off the angle. They want to make sure that, hey, if we're pushing behind this cascade, somebody will be forced off, and we won't get spammed down. They also choose to go I guess the less spammable of angles. They look to hit this B side as Trent gets a little spicy outside A main, spots a player there, and will back away and relay that information.
Yeah, again, not a lot to work with this round. It's the guard, a little bit of a one-way smoke here on the corner. They're trying to kind of wait out, but now it will get replenished, and Nismo's looking to play off of it here on top the rubble side. Valen going to try to use a cascade perhaps to get them a little bit of space. But no, the one-way comes through for Nismo. Doubles up, satchels the doorway, and well, a ninth one might be written off here soon for M80. Again, what a difference. It's just like night and day from Fracture.
Yeah, night and day. And something I wanted to mention. I'm gonna see if Net can get us something here. Okay, absolutely nothing. Something I wanted to mention is, even in the interviews on Twitter, Nismo at the very least has been very vocal about M80 are a team that take losses in stride, and they make sure they don't make those same mistakes. Now, obviously, losing Fracture and moving forward into Lotus isn't as easy as running the series back. But they're a team that, when they lose, they recognize the mistakes they made. And now that we swap over to Lotus, they're making sure that there are absolutely no mistakes. And as I said, that whole thing, this round might become a mistake. The spam can't quite land for Valen. Jonah P with the Sheriff and have to try and hang on, but all three present themselves, and it's just too much to swallow.
I have never seen the guard manhandle like this on Lotus. I've just never seen it. All year long, they have been so strong on this map. You know, 8-1 record, 8 games in a row, gone their way. The only time that they lost was the first time they played the map with a much different composition before Harbor became a part of the meta. And they only got 3 attacking rounds against TSM. That was all the way back in Split 1, Week 3. Since then, they've pretty much been able to get like that on average 7 attacking rounds, you know? So to see them limited to 0 with only 3 rounds left to play, I mean, that is just something I have not witnessed. I mean, M80 have completely flipped the script on what would be considered a guard map.
in recent times, the guard, oh, this is going to be huge. No way, not even the target he was hoping for. Net completely lost in the sauce there as he gets run up on. Koala takes him down, but 2 kills the way of the guard. Meanwhile, Valen plays the map, plays his liberties, the space he's been given, and finally the guard put up some semblance of a defense on the attacking side, and they take a round.
Yeah, it probably has felt like you're playing defense on the attacking side for the guard, because M80 had just been in your face. You know, again, they are a team that does not let you build a foundation to launch from. They try to unsettle you with aggression, with forward pushes, with, you know, off angles and forward positions. And again, there's been a lot of spam through smoke that's caught the guard here and there. They have been, you know, fell victim to the aggression a time or two, but that time around, finally, for the first time, they were able to dig their line in the sand and hold their ground and put a round on the board. But you wonder if it's come a little too late for this map, at least.
Yeah, the point I was going to make is the most recent play was a 9-3 defensive half against Oxygen Esports for the guard, right? With a very explosive redux on the attacking side with a very strong Verno. So there is a world where the guard obviously need more than one, but that their defense does look a little bit more stalwart than their attack has been. It's just everything seems to be going right for M80. Taking out attack and defense, removing that from the equation, right? Finding these spam kills, finding these fadeaway kills. It was almost like the guard, it could not ever get anything rolling.
Yeah. I am curious to know, like, how many rounds started with a fadeaway or a kill through smoke in favor of M80. It just feels like they got so many early 5-on-4s off of that throughout the half. That was really the first time they got stopped, was that round we just watched. So you are going to see the spike making its way towards Seaside, perchance, but John Cutie is ready to go with the lockdown to kind of try to deter that. Door now open. Looks like B is now the target. Cascade comes through, but Koala steps forward. How did he miss?
He flashed, huge flash there, but M80, they fight it all back. As soon as the guard get on site, they're erased. And it's double digits here in the first half for M80.
Oh, man. Well, I think we're about to have a tie series here. I mean, I hate to call it early. Again, you're right. The guard do have a very impressive defensive side of Lotus. They're near 60% win rate defensively on this map. They've been one of the best defensive teams on Lotus, period. So they do have that going for them in the second half to try to make the comeback. You know, so I don't want to count them entirely out, but I mean, this is a bloodbath in M80's favor.
Get out of my way.
Okay, if it would have happened again, I might have just lost my mind. But they make it. They make it, Tanner. They get through the choke.
Tex took some damage though, which not a kill, but still doesn't feel great. This time a lockdown on the opposite side. Good utility used though to stall out the push behind.
Yep.
Said lockdown. 2 defenders are still here. They'll eventually look to take their leave as the Viper's Pit goes out. It claims the site for the guard. But they've been able to do this, thus they have to hang on to it.
Yep, a lot of counter utility being lobbed immediately after the lockdown fades away. Spike has not been able to make it onto the site and plant due to the amount of counter utility defensively with the Nightfall and everything else added to it. Quality finds Tex inside the Viper's Pit. Spike's now trying to get the heck out of here, trying to maybe make a little bit of a rotation, but M80 is just not letting the personnel get away. They find another one, and now the clock's ticking. There's still so much Killjoy utility guarding front B. I think the guard's lost right now. They don't really know what they can do at this point.
30 seconds left.
And I mean, 5 players strong, M80 can hold their ground really wherever they choose. Net dueling with Nismo around the pillar, only finding damage, but really not enough to find a kill. Nano Swarm get heaps of damage down. Xander is playing a different game as he swings the corner with the Odin here. Somebody's got to get this spike planted. There's only 8 seconds left on the clock. Net will get a kill in response. Valen will eventually get that spike planted. But now M80 are here on the retake. Reckoning gonna go just wide. Dealt with though. His Xander with 6 HP. Trent cannot hang on. Another 1v3 attempt given the way of the guard, but another punishing round. 11-1 at the half. I mean, you get a little extra time swapping sides, Dust, but I can't even imagine what the conversations are like for the guard right now.
Probably talking about map 3 about now. I just don't. I mean, obviously, this is like the classic you know, they must win the pistol, guys. Come on, you know. But they really do have to win the pistol. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it is what it is. Without that, it is done deal. With it, they get a little bit of a lifeline. But it's hard to see them marching back this many rounds to either a win in regulation 13-11 or somehow get this into overtime. It's just hard to fathom how that would be possible the way that M80 are playing right now. And considering I've just never seen the guard manhandled that much on an attacking half of a game, especially a map that they're very proficient on the attacking side. This might be their best map, honestly. Could very easily argue it.
Man, and with the help of the turret, EU secures the first kill of the most important round of the game for the guard. Tex falls early. John Cutie sitting on a sheriff, so it's only going to be that turret here in this round. Is now Trent under fire here on the safe side all alone.
Okay, M80 going to go ahead and start pouring into the A site with the spike. They've also done heavy damage to Trent here, who's playing inside the smoke at heaven. They've already, of course, gotten that frag on the Tex. They're already a man up. And that's very quickly getting tilted even more in their favor. Valen able to grab one to kind of keep his team with a foothold in the round. And never mind, Trent got found out.
Valen and Jonah, we talked about clutch percentages. This would be a pretty big one. A 2v3, a player down, cascade out. Ismo walks right through the slow. And Valen, I just cannot afford to stand on the opposite side of this smoke. The spam comes through. Waiting for Jonah P to play the long call, and he had a flash available, but he's dry in through the high tide, and he's been taken down. M80 seemingly can do no wrong here on Lotus as they push us to map point.
Man, this might be the most dominant game we've seen in Challengers taking place right now in the grand finals between the two top teams in the region. It's kind of crazy. I mean, obviously, what was interesting is when these two teams met and split one in the groups, it was the guard being the only team that seemingly could silence M80. They only allowed M80 3 attacking rounds for an entire best of 3. It was a wild ride, actually, to see that happen. But then M80 got their revenge, mid-season face-off. And now this is, you know, the match to settle the score, to find the true #1 in North America. And we got the first map that was very back and forth, very exciting, very chaotic. And now we've just seen a complete pacing change in this map. Like, this is wild. I'm kind of at a loss. I just could not have foreseen the guard getting contained this much on a map that's very high up on their pool.
I'm excited to hear Roy's thoughts on it as a player who, I don't want to say he's been in this position, but you know, it can give us the player perspective of what something like this might just feel like. The guard not out just yet, but it would be a miracle run. Their steed would have to be a unicorn or something of this sort. There's just no way for them to ride back into battle. Two sheriffs and a stinger separate M80 from a 13-1 victory. They've got themselves a solid spike plant. Now 4 remain as they plant their feet and look to defend.
Turret down.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one here. Not much firepower to work with. The guard trying to make their way out the back halls. Tex provides a little bit of an opening there with the sheriff. Follows up with another, but John Cutie stands firm with the Guardian, leaving it just to Jonah P, down to 2 health. And not a lot of time. John playing it so smart and winds up with a fort to finish things off with the classic. And man, oh man, did M80 not shake off the cobwebs of Fracture very rapidly and have put a bold statement in this best of 5 with a trouncing of the guard on their opening map pick of the best of 5. One of their best maps they've had all year when it comes to just record and resume, and they just manhandled them on it. Man, I'm talking the most dominant game we may have seen all year in Challengers.
And I was thinking, you know, a win for the guards early. I'm strapped in for 5. Sure, yeah, I love that. But then we go to Lotus, and then we just saw their Haven yesterday, and Haven was a close map between the two. I was thinking there was a world where, you know, a win in map 1 for the guard could quite possibly mean a a 3-0, but
Dude,
fortunately, we've been robbed of it.
I would be shocked. Okay, I'm gonna make a guess here. I swear I'm not looking at any stats. I'm gonna guess that the guard's first bloods number has got to be on that map somewhere between like 0 and 4 at most. And then I'm gonna go with like what, 15-ish first bloods probably for M80. I mean, good lord.
There was only 14 rounds, so at that point it's like 12 to,
let's say 12,
13 to 1,
12 to 2, or 13-1, something like that. I mean, good lord. Good lord, man.
Fortunately, we will get to see that, but much like M80 shake off the cobwebs from map 1, the guard are going to have to do the same. We're all tied up in this series as we jump away for sure. Break the analyst will break down Lotus on the other side.